Gaming and BS, episode 199, coming to you Wednesday, July 11th, 2018. Welcome to Gibbous. I'm Sean.
And I'm Brett Gibbous. I like that. Gaming and BS. All crammed down.
GBS.
It works. How you doing, man? You bought a car, I heard.
Oh, my God.
The only thing more fun than buying a car is having to buy a home. If anybody out there has not bought a house yet, it sucks. At least my experiences with buying homes has never been fun. Nor buying a vehicle.
I just feel like I'm signing my soul over. Like, here you go, dude. It's just this amount of money.
I swear it was working when they had it here. I don't know what you did to it as soon as you drove it off the lot, but that wheel just it fell right off. Sorry.
Well, and it's when you buy a home, you feel like that too, right? You buy this house, you're like, yay.
It could be the same feeling I get when I get further into Invisible Sun, where I dig in and go,
hey!
Wow, this is, what am I going to do with all this crap?
Hey.
You got it? Hey, Gus, get on the wagon there. Anyway, shall we? All right. Announcements. We got the usual two up there. We got evercon.org. Go out there, submit your events for us. That would be awesome. Hope to see some BSers, as we did last year, up at evercon.org.
I bought my badge.
For Gamehole, I saw that.
I did.
Very well done.
Yeah.
You beat me this year, so I actually have to go out and get that
You
done.
didn't buy your badge yet?
No. I got to get that done.
Yeah, don't show up and like, hey, I'm here to pick up my badge. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. And then you're kind of like, what do you mean?
Oh, yeah, I forgot to buy it.
You didn't buy one, you dork.
What the hell's wrong with you, Kelly? This is what they said to Sean last year.
Pretty much.
All right. Excuse me. Good grief. So, oh, man, the other one is Queen City Conquest is coming up in September. I'm going to that.
Wow.
My wife and two kids are coming with me, so that'll be fun. Little New York vacation there.
Well,
so that'll be a good time.
Listeners, BSers, if you want to plot a course from, say, Madison, Wisconsin to, it's in Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
So in Buffalo, New York, and you plot a course, and you can come up with suggestions for Brett to stop at along the way.
Family friendly. I have my children.
Family friendly, but the cornier the better.
The cornier the better. We'll see.
Like U.S.'s biggest ball of mud. What else could be out there?
Carhenge.
Yeah.
That's an actual thing. I don't know where the hell it is, Carhenge.
Carhenge.
That's a thing. I don't know where it is in the country, though, but that's a thing. A friend of mine.
Carhenge, right?
No, hinge. Like Stonehenge made out of cars.
Carhenge, yeah.
Yeah. A buddy of mine in college, that was Mike's thing. He went like to his weird and tackiest of roadside stops he could. That was his thing. Everywhere he could find.
Like House of Broken Dolls.
Mustard Museum.
Mustard Museum, hey.
That's in Wisconsin. That's actually not that far from Sean and I.
Middleton.
I know. Which is angry because it used to be in Mount Horeb and it moved to Middleton.
Was it in Mount Horeb or Mauston?
It was in Mount Horeb. Mount Horeb Mustard Museum. I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
Mount Horeb
had a falling out.
Lost it. They lost it.
They lost the big attraction.
I wonder, what do you have to do to piss off a mustard museum so that they say, fuck you, we're moving?
They didn't give them more space.
That could be. Their ever-growing mustard collection. Why are we talking about it? Moving on. Good God.
Just email us that, though. Gaming and BS.
Yes, wacky-ass places you want me to stop.
Or Brett.
Okay.
At gamingandbs.com.
Yes.com. Slick. All right, let's go on to Random Encounter before this
Random
gets weird.
Encounter already? We got some feedback from episodes 197 and 198. So
we have a fair amount of feedback, too. Holy crap.
We must have pushed some buttons.
We must have. It's like pages of feedback. So let's go with Pete Wyeth. He commented on Facebook on episode 198. On the very rare occasion that I get to actually play, I don't use the 10-level plan where you plan on a character's build for 10 levels to optimize the character and not deviating for any reason. Instead, I'll take skills or class levels in something that seems to make sense. Did a friend almost die? My fighter will take healing then. They might not be the best at it or had to double the slot cost, but now they can at least give triage if the cleric is busy. Additionally, I have their personality change to a certain extent as dictated by game events as a campaign progresses, though I do try to make it somewhat subtle over a period of time. From a GM's perspective, if there's a role-playing reason for a character's alignment to change, then they don't take that XP hit, although class abilities may be lost in the case of paladins, rangers, clerics, and other classes. However, if the player is just trying to game the system, they get the XP hit and lose class abilities if necessary. Pete Wyeth, I applaud you, sir. Very nice. Good stuff. I like that. There's something about non-optimized play. Non-optimized play sounds rough. I think kind of building your character in not just to be the best cleric possible or the best whatever, but to build it as the situation needs, or something that's kind of not immersive. What's the other phrase? We talked about this, where story pops out of the game. What the fuck was that phrase? Come on, Sean Strain. He's watching me struggle. He knows what this is. Emergent story? Maybe that's it? Maybe that was it? I can't remember anymore. Anyway, point is, instead of plotting out a character, I've seen people do this before, and I dislike it greatly. I love the idea, Pete, of not going in with a hard plan and never deviating. You could have a plan, but at some point, moving off of it in order to make the character cooler, better, fit the setting, fit the events of the adventure and the story. I think that's a cool idea. I think it's a good way to go. Sean, do you do that? Do you do the 10-level plan where you actually plot out your PC? No?
I do not.
I've seen people do that. It's not just a class thing. I've seen it happen in GURPS games, even not so much Call of Cthulhu because that one doesn't lend itself to it, but in the old White Wolf system when I played that was trying to plot, after this point I'll buy this, after experience I'll buy this and this and this, because they're trying to build a certain type of power base or whatever. But you don't do that, huh?
No. Not intentionally. And sometimes I have a good idea. I mean, if I'm taking like a feat, the feat trees are notorious for that. So it's, cleave, great cleave, maybe, but it depends on what the character is, and most of the times I'm not looking that far down the road.
I'll tell you some of the coolest characters. My buddies Lenny and Beta, and they had Newton Beecher in my Avalon game ages back. Those characters started off, one was a griffin, a city guard, who did some illegal pit fighting on the side just to make some extra money for his family. And the other guy was a city-sponsored torturer. He belonged to the Torturers Guild. And at the end of it, they somehow, some way, through all the different machinations, whatever, they ended up taking multiple different types of classes. They multi-classed across, took skills and feats and things that they could figure out. We were playing Pathfinder back then. And neither one of those players sat down and said, this is how it will go. They just went with the flow and like, well, this makes sense. I am doing this all the time now. I'm probably going to pick up these type of skills. And that's where they led into. And I think it made for some really kick-ass, not only role-playing, but also just some really great overall story developments. And the characters turned into something that nobody had anticipated. It just sort of came whole cloth directly out of the events of the game. It was really cool. All right, next.
Christopher Gray. Any nominated Christopher Gray?
Oh, that's right. We should do that now. For anybody who writes in who's been any nominated, we got to put a note. Any nominated Christopher Gray.
Any nominated Christopher Gray. Character evolution. Comments on 198. Hey, fellas. That was an interesting episode regarding character evolution and alignment. I'm with you that having to codify this sort of thing shouldn't be necessary. Ultimately, however, we have to concede that there are different types of players, and if this is the behavior you want your game to have, then there needs to be a mechanism for it. All right. That said, I think it's helpful if players look at their characters the way authors or actors do. From that point of view, you are putting yourself in your character's shoes, and making decisions on their behalf based on what they would realistically do. When approached that way, as opposed to, say, an alignment rule or even personality/bond/flaws, etc., then evolution seems to naturally happen. For example, in this con game I was playing a roughneck asshole detective in an urban fantasy setting in Fate. Was mostly aiming for a caricature of that archetype, partly for laughs, but also to be a contrary force to the rest of the magic practicing characters. My character didn't know about, nor did he believe in magic, and was quick to explain away things, until he saw what was effectively a wizard fight with magic explosions in an alley. Had I stuck to the rules, in this case an aspect, then that wouldn't have changed things for me. In fact, I was incentivized to re-roll by using that aspect to get out of shock. Instead, I decided this moment would necessarily have to redefine the character. His entire worldview broke, so I chose to have him essentially shut down and fall into a catatonic state until the party could revive him somehow. That's not because I'm a brilliant role player. Well, I mean, it could be because of that. But it's simply because I was viewing my character like an author, not as a game player, and worked out how he would realistically respond. By the end of the session, he wasn't an asshole anymore, an actual character arc in a con game, if you can believe it. Just wanted to throw a couple cents at you guys on this good topic. Oh, and you're both right.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Gopher Gray. You know, Mr. Gray, I will say, what's interesting is that the first part we say, there needs to be a mechanism for it. What you did there is no mechanism for. You opted to have a thing happen and so on. Now, granted, a con game, it can be risky, where you say, hey, I'm going to do this cool thing. Bang, my worldview changes. I go into a catatonic state. Somebody has to figure out how to wake me up. Sometimes that's cool. I could see someone at that table going, that's not how that works, right? I could see that happening. But I think the that kind of going for it perspective, and my assumption is that you know what you're doing, obviously, and you said, hey, this is what's happening, this is why I'm going with this, excuse me, explaining worldview shattering, so on and so forth. Once I come out of it, things are going to change, and I think that's brilliant, honestly. I think that's a really good thing to do, and those are the types of things when I tried to talk about before, taking your con game home. This is one of those pieces where if you would do it at a con game, what Mr. Gray's talking about there, you can do what Christopher did there, you can do that at your home game too. There's no reason not to. That's a really cool thing to do. Bravo and good work, sir.
Yeah.
All right, so what else have we got? I've got an email from Hot Dog the Barbarian. I think the first time Hot Dog the Barbarian has emailed us, so that's pretty cool.
If that is indeed your real name.
I'm assuming it is.
Well, why wouldn't we?
Why would we not?
I'm going to be like, where's the story behind that?
I kind of want to know that. I kind of want to know.
I don't know if I want to meet Hot Dog or his or her parents.
That's true. Could have been Oscar Mayer, and then they just changed it. I don't know. Yeah. Ballpark. They just
my son.
Barbarian has a first name.
It's HOTDOG.
All right. Hot Dog the Barbarian emailed us. PC Evolution, episode 198 again. Good topic. Sean had a great point about the feel of time passed versus the time passed in game. That being said, Brett. Oh, wait. Hold it.
What?
That he continues.
Oh.
Or she can. The Barbarian continues.
The Barbarian continues.
That being said, Brett is right.
Oh, God. It's the crowd, man. I don't know.
I don't know.
They're weird tonight.
Characters should change according to their experiences in the world. Necessity dictates that the mechanics should be easily adjudicated. That doesn't mean time in game is solely a matter of accumulated bonuses. Players should put the experience back in XP. Ooh, I like that. Players should put the experience back in XP. He also is correct that character evolution is a player skill. Just as the skillful GM may pay attention to his players' wants, the skillful player must reason why his character would engage with the adventure. Below is a common expression of poor player skill in a typical D&D scenario. From the Barbarian's perspective, GM, you manage to break the crypt seal beyond the stone doorway, descends into the dark. The mage responds with, my character is into research and books. He wouldn't delve into a dungeon. I've been there. I've seen that happen.
No way.
Yeah, you want to punch
Stop
that.
it.
You want to punch that player right in the face.
No way.
He goes on. This sort of laziness also crops up with the rogues, clerics, paladins, druids, and rangers. Are there any Underdark trees to hug? No, my character wouldn't go down there. A skillful player, a good player, takes on the job of explaining why his character would enter the dungeon. Otherwise, he's made a crap character for D&D, and he ruins the other player's fun for no reason except of lack of imagination. Best regards, Hot Dog the Barbarian. I'll tell you, man, one of the things I really liked about the gumshoe system, and I know other games do it too, but that one it has a drive, and I know other game systems have drives and things that are there that you're supposed to leverage on your character, where it says, hey, why do you do this? So you're playing Trail of Cthulhu, Ken Hite's gumshoe version of Call of Cthulhu, and it has a drive. Like, I dig into these mysteries. I don't like to not know this stuff. I dig into these types of things. It's bonds, drives, flaws, whatnot. Even D&D 5e and some of the character stats have things in it like, why would you do this? What is it about you that would cause you to want to engage with things? And I think that's necessary. I think that's really... So, I shouldn't say necessary, sounds like... Okay, so somebody from the OSR world is going to tell me, bull fucking shit, you do not need that. You can totally just play and go. The problem is when you have somebody who's going to play a game when it's not required, right? We're going into a dungeon. We're playing BX. It's a dungeon game. We're going to go into a dungeon and kill monsters and take their stuff. And one player looks in and says, well, I don't see why my magic user would do that. Why would he go in this dungeon anyway? I believe at a good OSR table, the rest of the players will turn to him and her and say, get the fuck off our table. Because the whole point of that game is to do this thing, for God's sakes. So regardless of whether you story game it, you OSR it, or whatever, having a drive, a desire, if nothing else as a player, make a character that's going to do something, man. I think that's really important. So good stuff, Barbarian. Thank you very much. Sean, next one's for you.
Crim fan. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Grim fan.
I don't like that.
Sorry.
Carry on.
Leaves a comment on our website under episode 198. You guys are hitting some awesome topics recently. Aw. Shucks.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. They're all mine. not
Mostly,
Brett's.
yeah.
No, they're not. I'll give Brett credit.
Yay, I got credit.
Finally.
Keep going.
Planar games. I'm in a game where our characters are in the process of relocating to Sigil. I also run a plane hopping campaign since 1999. That's not either Planescape or Spelljammer, but which ruthlessly steals from both, particularly Spelljammer and the Rod of Seven Parts.
That sounds cool.
So, thanks, man, for letting us know. That sounds righteous. Character evolution. He continues, I tend to go for it. Most of my PCs end up having something hit during the course of their play. Just as Brett said, I've had some pretty big life experiences and changes, so I guess this appeals to me, though I don't usually actively plan it. I think it's a big part of what I like from a game. I usually make the character go through some kind of mechanical shift to reinforce it. In the game where we are relocating to Sigil, my character was a Vistani warlock / bard packed to the deck of many things. At some point during the campaign, I really had that, quote, but I'm an addict, end quote, feeling when the DM threw a particularly strong temptation my way. Pretty epic campaign events happen leading to the winding of the Horn of Change. A number of Vistani vows were violated, and we ended up getting an audience with Moradin. I asked him for how to shake loose from it. This ended up surprising the DM and the other players. Some questions later, now I'm a paladin / bard with a rather different outlook on life.
Nice.
I guess for me, that's part of my own life that I've found as being something I like to reflect in the game. But not all characters need that, and not all players want it. And many games don't really support it, as Sean P. Kelly said. So, it depends.
Fine. All right, we'll give you points for that one, Sean. Good stuff, Crimfan. That it does make sense. I love I like the idea of that type of class change and stuff. I've had that happen with characters before, where we're like, "Oh, look, this is." Instead of the classic, paladins fall from grace. Sometimes it could be a working from I used to be a thing and now I'm this other piece. And again, not all players want it or need it or crave it or anything. And that's fine. But I think having it as an option out there for whatever reason, so that the players who do want / need or really desire to do that type of thing have the opportunity to do it. And I do like the idea, we've talked about this a couple times now, about having some sort of a mechanism that plays into it. So even if you're playing in a point-buy system, like a Savage Worlds or something, like, hey, I now no longer do X, I now do Y instead, or I've got a big change about my character. Having a really cool story piece and then a mechanism that kind of bolt onto it as well to really make sure that story piece sticks to the character, right? And I think that's where the mechanistic approach to this comes in. It takes that really cool story angle, but then bolts it right onto that character sheet for you so that you say, hey, because of this change, I now have actual change on my character sheet where the pluses are different, the minuses are the percentages and stuff. So I think that does make total sense. I like that. Sean, you good with that?
Yes.
That's good. Good. Deep, Sean. That was deep.
I try.
All right. Ooh, Steve Orlick. I think I'm about to like Steve.
Oh, boy.
Stand your ground, Brett. I'm with you. Although Sean made some good points, you're right. He's wrong. Oh, that felt good. I'm gonna cut that out and put it on my screen.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah. Steve continues, yes, it depends on the type of character. Hack and slashers and min-maxers probably won't be into character growth at all. Those who are more into roleplay will be more open to it. Time in game is a good point, but the rebuttal is that characters face extreme and extraordinary events every day in a game. They're not farmers or laborers where life is static and nothing crazy really happens. Although I've worked with guys on a farm before, crazy shit happens on a farm. Just a slight aside.
Fair.
People die on a farm randomly. It's fucking scary. Anyhow, carry on. Steve was not meaning to diss on farmers. Anyway, totally went aside there. Blah, 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 blah. Ah, yes, he continues. An adventurer sees some serious shit on a daily basis. A modern-day human facing a life like that would definitely change views in a short period of time. Alabaz, my character in a D&D campaign, is entirely built on the things that have happened to him. Yes, he started a certain way and had a concept, but as things happened, he changed. His views, alignment, goals, multi-class path have all been shaped by the events he has faced. He's far from an optimal build, but I like to let the story shape the character. Plus, flawed characters rule. So while the Kelly made some decent points, there are those of us out there who get off on character evolution and submersion into the game. Don't backpedal. Brett Nation forever. Oh, I love this guy. So you're still all right in my book, Sean. I just keep finding myself on Team Brett. Nothing personal. Keep up the BS, guys. Steve Orlick. Poor Sean. He's got that defeated look.
I'm trying to like Steve. I really am.
I think Steve's a stand-up person.
You don't say.
I don't say. Yes, I do.
Fair enough, Steve. You're entitled to your opinion, no matter how skewed it may be. Notice I did not say wrong.
I was going to say, like I've told my kids, you're entitled to be as wrong as you like. Go for it. All right, Sean, next one's for you.
Well, there's not a whole lot of narration and comments on that one, eh, Brett?
What's that? Oh, what?
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Go.
James Carruthers emails us about 197, which is the game like it's a convention game. Hi, guys. As always, my opening comment is how much I continue to enjoy your show. Thank you. Thank you, James. Regarding episode 197, Brett was too apologetic. What the hell is going on tonight?
I think people would just be they're being nice to me because I had a hard time with my home group, so they're just trying to build me up, Sean. It's just little pats on the back.
Look, everybody, Brett's got the heart of steel. He can take that shit. Now, quit giving him quit sympathizing, sending him sympathy emails.
Just kick his ass. Go on.
pretty soon this guy's going to be too soft over there.
I know, I'll be big squishy dude.
All right. It was a great discussion. Sure, you meandered all over the place, but that particular topic kind of demanded it. Hey, look at that. Our total lack of direction actually applied to the topic.
That was planned. Totally planned.
Totally planned. We agree on that.
We absolutely agree on that.
Sean very insightfully answered Brett's quandary pretty much out of the gate, but Brett persisted to push the question further, and the ensuing discussion was great. My thought on the matter is simple. Consciously or unconsciously, we game in pursuit of the special, memorable moments. Brett's opening question supports this premise. In a one-shot environment, such as a con, we have to push for the most creative, risky, or extreme choice in each scene and encounter in order to ensure we get the memorable moments we seek in the short time at hand. And the disposable nature of our one-shot characters, to Sean's point, also helps enable this approach to the game. We seek the same memorable moments in our long-term campaigns too. However, I think there are two main reasons we temper the pursuit of the moment in this longer format context. First one, playing a little more cautiously will help the character live longer, which leads to stronger emotional attachment and deeper relationships with the NPCs, the world, and the other PCs, all of which leads to even more deeply memorable moments when they eventually, organically transpire. And secondly, memorable moments are memorable.
Easy for you to say.
Memorable moments are memorable because they're special. Man, if I had like 2-3 more beers, that would all be one word. Memorable. Because they are special. And the more rare a thing is, to a point, the more special, valued, and memorable it will be. Pushing it to the max in every scene and in every encounter in every session of a long campaign would be exhausting, unsustainable, and frankly would become distasteful pretty quickly.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Good gamers subconsciously know this and pace their games accordingly, pushing hard for it in one-shots and letting them play out more gradually in longer campaigns, in order to get those special moments we'll never forget. My final thought: no matter how creatively a DM chooses to adjudicate some crazy off-the-cuff antics of her players, she is still playing by the raw, or rules as written, because the rule of cool is above all, but higher still is Rule 0. The exact verbiage may be different and verbose, but it's all there in undeniable black and white on page 4 of the 5e DMG. So in that sense, Brett, when you let the kids take a called shot in certain circumstances, you are, in fact, playing rules as written. At least that's how I interpret it. Winky, winky. Take care, James, from the Sunshine Coast of British Columbia.
That's good stuff, man. I like the point you have there, and I think Sean was getting at this. I'd have to go back and listen to the episode to see. But that the memorable moments are memorable. You know, the exhausting, unsustainable nature of trying to bring that much heat to everything, right? That's like trying to fire the Nolan Ryan fastball, baseball pitcher, to do the fastball every fucking time you're going to throw your arm out, right?
Turn it up to 11 every time is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
all
if you feel a little exhausted,
too bad.
Hey, man, they got that 5-hour energy shit.
That just means you're doing it right. That's what you're saying.
It's a monster drink. Just keep it legal. That's all I'm saying, folks.
Exactly. Thank you, though, James. That was very cool. Thank you, man. All right. Thomas from Beholder's Horde comments on 197 as well. Hello, BSers. I just thought, just a thought on episode 197. Numbers. You words mean numbers. No good.
Dude, I gotta spell this shit out for you?
Probably. Just a thought on episode 197, the difference between con play and home play. I've often pondered over this question several times myself. I find groups and people don't play the same in long campaigns they do at a con is investment of time. Often I see players put hours, weeks, months, possibly years into a PC. It's hard to play risky with a PC or just getting where you want to have been envisioning the whole time to be. For example, right after you get the Holy Avenger sword you spend weeks questing for the awesome magical staff your mage just found, at a convention, the worst thing that could happen with PC death is a little longer break between sessions or going to lunch early. A lot of time you can just grab another pre-gen and keep going. At one con, I watched a player go through 3 PCs onto the 4th one where the DM told him it was the last pre-gen he had. That's funny. Only one of these PC deaths seemed to be from bad choices. The rest were just misfortune of the dice. The game was a blast, and like Brett said, all the talk was about how much fun the game was and the oddball way each death happened. Only 2 PCs lived in the end of this game, and those players caught a good heartfelt flack for not following the rest of the PCs to their doom. Go figure. At the same convention, I played in a 5e Adventures League game. One of the players took from the session very seriously because he'd been playing with his PC in several sessions and had plans for the PC to continue on in Adventure League games. Hence an investment of time and planning. The other thing I found with players I DM for is fear of the unknown. Players seem to be fearful for what's not written down somewhere. If that's not what the rules say, how do we know? There seems to be this fear that someone's going to cheat or pull a fast one. If not the DM, then one of the other players might get something or do something no one else can. As for DM reluctance on this topic, I feel that there's a fear of setting expectations or precedents that will not be seen as fair or maybe sustainable later on. You guys had touched on good player versus good player versus good playing skills a couple of episodes. It sounds like a good topic to kick around. As always, great show. Keep the armor polished and the coffers full. Thomas from Beholder Sword. Cool. Thanks, man. What do you think about that one, Sean? Good stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah? Anything you don't like?
No. I think
No?
it makes that's I think pretty spot on as far as con versus campaign.
Yeah, I mean the idea of the time investment. We talked. I mean,
Well, there's a
all that
lot
stuff.
of players that don't want to. I mean, they create a character, they have a concept, and they want to play that character for as long as they possibly can.
Yeah.
So they don't have any. They don't want to have the character die and make it up and go through all that again. There are some folks that, I mean, they're all about, I want my character to die if it makes sense in the story.
I mean, I've mentioned Kev on the show before. You've gamed with Kevin. Kevin will ride every character he's got like he stole it.
Kev Thulu.
He will do that. He'll play it. Whether he dies, goes insane, whatever. If something bad happens, he's like, yep, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And the same emotional passion goes into that character as the character who's lived for 5-6 sessions or the whole campaign. He doesn't care.
Yeah. And that's okay.
But that's him. That's
right.
him. That's his style.
Yeah. So that's cool. Yeah.
Cool. All right, man. We got one more.
Well, so Blake Ryan from Down Under says, "Good day. It's suggested format / flow for better player episode." Because we mentioned it, he hooked onto it, and he puts it simply: the basics and advanced. A 6-step process. So basics, number 1. Ask questions. Don't assume or be rude. Okay.
I like it.
Right? Number 2, pay attention.
Oh my God, that could be number 1.
Hey, so
that
far...
that could be
Right.
top of the list right there. Fucking pay attention.
Number 3, share time and story with the group.
Don't be a hog. Got it.
Right? Now we go into the advanced. Number 4, fit to the genre. Read the player's books / handouts.
Do the work. Makes sense.
Number 5, give your characters depth. Hobbies, family, goals.
Good stuff.
All right. Number 6, help the GM. Mapping, teaching newbies, note-taking.
I like that.
That's it. So being a good player for the Better Player episode, there you go. 6.
I think that might well
by
be
Blake. So
You and I've talked before about what we'd like to see at the table. You know, what do we like in players, that type of thing. And I think it's
nothing.
nothing. I just want them to show up, for Christ's sake. Just fucking show up. No, I think Blake's got 6 really decent. If you're paying attention, asking questions, and sharing time, not being a hog, right there.
Sure.
You're a fucking winner at the table. And if you've been given a player's handout, or hey, could you read this, or hey, this is the genre is Cold War spies, play to the genre, do the thing you're supposed to do. Depth of character, hobbies, family goals, something. It doesn't have to be crazy, but add some oomph to it, so it's not just murder hobo on a character sheet sometimes. And helping the GM, grabbing on the mapping, teaching newbies, note taking, and so forth. I think that's good. I've known a number of different players over the years.
Did you just reread the whole thing again?
Yeah, I just think it's worth it's worth stating though, because I really think they're super simple, but I think they really make sense. They really do.
Yeah.
Do you ever have anybody in your group take notes for like the whole group? Has anyone done that for you?
Yes.
Or recently? Yeah?
Yes.
Like currently or?
Well, I haven't run a game in a while, but I usually have one person that's usually pretty diligent with notes. We typically is a no-brainer. There's always usually one person that's always keeping track of treasure.
Yeah.
But I also have had individuals that have been note-taker person.
Have you ever done the note-taker role yourself?
I have done it myself for myself.
But not for the group as a whole.
Not necessarily for the group. It's more kind of my own. I guess I could reference back to them and let the group know. But typically I'm jotting things down because I'm like, all right, who's that NPC's name? What's the deal? Who are we supposed to go and find? Because I think that's one thing that you got to be careful with is, okay, you go through all this effort to convey everything, and then the player, you maybe it comes to an end, and then you reconvene, and then all that stuff's like, I don't remember the last time any of that detail.
Yeah.
And it's not even the details they may like. Well, we met that one guy, and then that woman told us to go here, but all the nuances are lost.
And from an immersion perspective, or even just something simple as my son is running Lost Men's Offend over for my daughter and I. We were just running it. He was running a little bit earlier today.
Busting his chops.
No, he's
Are you doing everything contrary to Blake?
No, actually, I'm not. My biggest thing right now is it's coaching Ilana on play.
Oh.
And I've gone through, taken notes, and I look at her and say, "What do your notes say?" And she's like, "Oh, Gundren and Rockseeker." "Oh, yeah. Okay, what are we looking for?" "Oh, yeah, that's what we're looking for." So I show her the notes I've got. I'm taking notes for the group. One, it's actually kind of rewarding that I have all this information. So AJ will look at us and he'll do the thing I've done. "So, what do you remember from last time?" Ilana goes through some stuff and she says, "Daddy, what do you know?" And I blur through stuff. She goes, "Oh, yeah, that's right." Even just simple bullet points, it's really helpful. And I've seen, I'll throw another shout out to Kevin. Kev Thulu's been really good at taking notes for group before.
Yes.
He's done a very good job with that.
He has. I will, true testimony to that guy.
And I talked about this ages back, but when I ran Trail of Cthulhu, the first time I ran Bookhounds of London. So everybody belongs to a bookstore in London. And what I did was I got a little leather-bound note journal, pasted in a bunch of data that they would need to know, setting stuff up front. But someone at the table had to take notes for the group. They could take them however they wanted to, didn't matter. One of the guys who was playing with me at the time, Seth is a prison guard. So his notes look like his notes from like his prison guard job. Like if he's in a tower doing this, it's like 5 minutes, this minute, it's super detailed. It got to Lenny, it's a crazy-ass mind map of weird notes and scribbles and things all over it. Everybody took them in their own way, and it got passed around like, what the fuck is this? Who did that? What is this? It became, because of the nature of it, it's all about books and exploring books and digging into it. It became a really kind of cool prop.
It's a library. It's a library game.
It was a little bit of a library game. It was a lot of fun.
Brett's all about the action.
All about the action. Library. Everybody sit there and stare.
So where is this going to take place, Brett? In a bookstore.
Bookstore.
Yeah. Lots of tomes.
Lots of tomes.
Great.
It was fun though. It was having the notes being passed around the group were a lot of fun. That's when we talk about that game. That's a piece where it goes, yeah, that was really fun. We've never done that before. That was neat. So that was kind of cool.
Got to get back to that, Brett.
I think I do.
They don't like your new shit.
Ouch! Oh my God, man!
Hey,
I got a couple good props. Just boom, right below the belt.
Right,
yeah, Brett, remember that? Remember that shit that they told
right.
you they hate?
That was unfair. Wow,
That was fucking funny. Is
yeah,
what that was.
get that sliver in that thumb, man, and just freaking tweak that sucker every once in a while.
Well, I'll tell you what. Damn, dude, that was funny. Oh, it hurt, but it was still funny. Anyway, we talked about plane hopping. We had a couple different listeners. Eric Frankhouse got a hold of me and said, "Hey, dude, I used to play the hell out of Planescape back in the day." We had Randy Nichols email into us and say he's played a whole bunch of Planescape in the past as well. So it's interesting.
Somebody else mentioned. Somebody mentioned Darcy Ross too on Twitter. I apologize for not the credit. I don't know if that was. I'm trying to think of who was. Maybe it was it Blake? Somebody mentioned like Darcy Ross, like this is a big Planescape player.
Oh wow! See, yeah. Planescape was one of those things that I knew that it was popular because I would see the stuff sell. I would see it in the stores and flying off. Not flying off. It was
whatever.
They sold pretty well at the game store in my hometown.
That was when I think that's when TSR had like 50 box sets of different settings.
Birthright,
right?
Planescape, Mistra, Hollow World.
Yeah, Al Qadim or
Al Qadim.
Yeah, Al Qadim.
Yeah. So anyway, I knew it was out there, and I love the art because I love Tony DiTerlizzi. I never pronounced his last name correctly, but he really great artist, very evocative. It was really cool. The whole Lady of Pain, Sigil, and all that stuff. Sigil, sorry, and I never did it, and it was always one of those things because it's kind of like superhero games for me. I just don't. The plane hopping thing went, superhero games for me, like, it's just not a thing. So that was, it's interesting to see the number of people that have listened to us that have said, oh, yeah, I played that. Oh, I played the hell out of it. Oh, yeah, I really like that stuff. That's kind of neat. Just to see the different things that people are into.
Yeah, yes, Brett, it is.
You're a dick. What? Next episode's 200. I don't even like you anymore.
Yeah, 200. Hey, tune in for our podcast finale on episode 200, ladies and gentlemen.
It'll be Brett pounding on Sean with a 2x4.
So Brett will be relaunching a spinoff. We'll have a spinoff. Brett's podcast.
Nice. Dude, that was a lot. Do we want to do a topic today? Do we want to get a big main topic, or are we going to rest on
I don't know. We're like 40 minutes in.
Damn.
So even if we had a topic, I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll throw this out there. I'll try to be short and sweet about it. See if we can. So when we're talking about planning characters and way they change and so forth, we've talked about how we build encounters and so forth. One of the things that is interesting to me is anytime I have sat down and plotted out in whatever format I was using at the time, saying, "Boy, I really think this thing will be big," right? You read a module, go, "Wow, this is clearly the big fight. This is Tiamat, and fuck, this is going to be the brawl. This is going to be the thing." And I think it's interesting when I've gone back and looked at different games. We'll talk about something like, "Hey, that was a really good campaign. How'd it go?" "Oh yeah, it was great." "Oh my god, remember that time when we had to figure out how to get around that gelatinous cube?" I'm like, "You remember that? That's the thing you remember? This stupid gelatinous cube that almost had you cornered? That's what you remember? You don't remember all the plots and machinations? That's what you remember, the gelatinous cube." That was like the event that popped in their head when they thought about that campaign. Like, "Oh, yeah. Oh, and the fact that we saved the dwarves and we started an entire revolution. That was cool. Yeah, we started a whole Dwarven Civil War Part 2. That was neat. But that gelatinous cube." I'm like, really? That was crazy. I think it's, I think it's interesting as game masters, when we plan these things out, to not, kind of like as a player sometimes, right? It's great to have passion around a character and stuff, but if they die, they die. And I think as a game master, you have to look at some of your encounters and say, you know what? The big red dragon at the end, or you finally found the notorious, space gangster you've been hunting down forever, that may not be the big thing that you think it is. It could be the fact that they were on this planet doing this other thing, right? The players will find the most memorable. The players will make the encounter, the big encounter, themselves, right? Sometimes it's as quirky as nobody remembers what a shrieker is, which is this weird little mushroom thing that makes high-pitched noises in first edition AD&D. No one will remember what the fuck a shrieker is. They'll encounter it, and they will freak the fuck out, And the rest of the evening, fighting the Bugbear King and rescuing, the stupid prince who got caught, blah, blah, blah. They won't even fucking remember that, but they will remember the fact that they had Shriekers and Mushroom Men, Myconids, that they had to fight. That's the weird-ass thing that happened in that adventure. That became the big encounter. And I think anytime I've looked at something and said, oh, this is going to be the big encounter, this is going to be the big thing, I'm only 50-50 on being able to call that. I find it usually just run every encounter and don't go in assuming that this is going to be the big thing. Because I shouldn't say every, I'd say about 50-50, I've tried that and it falls flat or it doesn't quite go over quite well. Just play it. Just play it and see what happens. If it doesn't turn out to be the big thing, that's okay. Sean, have you ever had that happen? Have you ever had encounters not work, Sean? Do you need a pill for that?
Sorry,
that totally went.
Come on.
Totally went off.
I don't even know why you asked that question. What the hell's the matter with you, Brett?
What do you think about that? Does that sing to you, or do you think that's crazy talk?
It does sing to me, and I think we don't do enough of it. There, I said it.
Very good. Very good.
Play to find out what happens. It's okay to not know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's okay. Sometimes I think game masters are a little control freaks. Just saying, a little bit. Maybe some more than others.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we find our control in weird places sometimes. We're like,
yeah.
Why are you running the game? Because no one else runs the game right.
That's true.
I have said that before. 8 years ago, I have said that. Well, no one else does it right. That's why I'm doing it, because no one knows what he's doing.
Give me those goddamn books.
Give me that screen.
Those dice.
Get out of the way.
Get out of here.
What are you doing, kid?
Yeah. What are you reading that for? That's block text. Let me put some flavor on that shit. Now, it's not all the time, but I think it's just a matter of, and I've said it before, put the problems in front of the characters and let's see what happens. Because you know what? You're going to plan. It goes back to planning and all that stuff. You're going to plan on a particular path, and they're never going to take it. So not always, but you're going to be like, oh, yeah, this will be really, really cool. And you're going to think it's the greatest thing, and then they're going to screw it all up.
even if they don't screw it up, right? Say they show up and they fight, they fucking kill the Sarlacc. They save this guy, they kill a Sarlacc monster, and this is awesome. We're in the desert. Oh my god, this totally fucking thing worked. Wow, this is amazing. But it's not the most memorable thing. It was a big fight, but it was no better a big fight than the last two big fights, right? I think sometimes as game masters we'll build something up in our heads, and even players too, like, okay, this is it. This is the big thing. And especially if you're let the dice fall where they may, and you don't mess with the results. Wow, look, 3 critical rolls in a row, huh? It's dead. That's right. It. Yeah, you fucking killed it. It's dead. Wow. The Shriekers and the Myconids were harder than this. Yeah, I know. Crazy, huh? Wow, that's weird. That's okay. Sometimes, if that's how you play and that's how it shakes out, I say that's legit.
Now, for the record, I feel your pain.
When your beautiful thing is destroyed.
I understand that you've planned. You had a certain vision, and it's gone. I can empathize.
It's not if it's going to happen, it's when.
That's true, and we should all join that support group.
It's called the bar, and everybody goes there.
Sit down in a circle and share those stories about how you had something that was just inevitably going to be cool, and it didn't. That's not the thing that became cool or memorable, as Brett would say.
Yeah. I think it's if you. I told people this before, like, hey, I was asked, how do you get a gaming group that lasts for 20 plus years? One is, you occasionally have weird little spats and get mad at each other like a bunch of teenage kids. But one of the things that happened, I never set out to do that. Right? I didn't sit down and say, how do I formulate this thing? We figured it out, we worked it out, and we just keep going. And if you sit down and you say, I need to have the most amazing ending for this game, and that's cool, and I get that, but it might not be the thing the players think is amazing. And that will disappoint you if that happens. If you're not willing to say, you know what, again, it's kind of the mistakes made type of thing, but it says, as things pop out, sometimes the thing that's the most memorable is that time when your character, when that player looks at you and says, I remember that time when I was a warlock bard, and I shifted and I'm now a paladin, right, that we just read about. That could be the coolest thing. And no one else cares about that whole weird-ass game, except for the fact that the hard-ass jerk detective went catatonic and suddenly changed. Maybe that's the thing that everyone at that table remembers that they walked away from. All the other encounters don't matter, but that one was really cool. Even the big one at the end that was supposed to be the cool one, it's just not cool. And I think what I'm trying to say at the end of it is, don't put too much energy in trying to make sure cool happens. As Sean said, play to find out what happens, go with it. And sometimes the cool thing is going to be the wonky-ass shit where they're trying to get across this underground stream and there's piranhas in there. And they just freak out for no fucking reason. And they spend a 4-hour session trying to figure out how to get across the stream. But they love every minute of it and they have a great time. Hey, it happens. And I just say go with it. It's good for you.
The most memorable moments I've had, some of them, are usually one-liners. And it has, like, just the most ridiculous thing occurs, which is usually, a person who infiltrates a camp and then infiltrates a tent, but stumbles upon guards and is not obviously in uniform. And they ask, hey, where's your uniform? And the character says, it's in the cleaners. It's in the cleaners.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the game master goes, and then the game master's like, what the fuck ever? Okay, give me a roll. And they knock it out of the park. You're like, all right, fine. It's in the cleaners. And it works. Oh, that's awesome.
In the cleaners. Roger. Cool. Roger. I know he doesn't listen to this one, but.
Shall we die roll it up?
Yeah, let's do die roll. Boom. All right, Brett, kick her off, buddy.
Yeah, so I'm a Cthulhu fan, love my Delta Green stuff. I missed out on the original Delta Green, the Kickstarter. I just wasn't in a good spot to be able to throw some cash at that one. But they have a new one, Delta Green, The Labyrinth Kickstarter. And by the time I saw it come across my social media streams, like, there's this cool thing. And Adam Scott Glancy's like, yeah, apparently it's already funded. So, yeah, if you want to get in on it, good, but it's going to happen. It is. They had a $27,000 goal. They're already at $31,370 as of today, July 9th, when we're recording this. Still have 21 days to go as of today, July 9th. So by the time this drops, if you're still interested in it, it will be out there and available for you to get in on the fun. Link in the show notes, of course. Labyrinth, The Labyrinth for Delta Green. All right, Sean, over to you, sir.
So what is that, just a supplement for Delta Green?
Yeah, it's a it's a source book of threats, allies, and mysteries to deepen the terrors of your campaign, written by John Scott Tynes, which is pretty cool. Tynes does some incredibly good freaking work, so this is really cool.
Excelente. All right. Todd Crapper. Any award nomination, Todd Crapper?
The one, the only.
That's right. He has created a game called By the General's Hand. We heard somebody had some certain influence upon Todd.
I heard about that.
Heard that, yeah. Couple guys, nutty dudes that spout crap on their podcast.
Exactly.
But don't let that impact your impression of Todd's fine work.
No.
It's a 2-person RPG. He sums it up this way. Greetings, BSers. He put this out on our Google Plus page or community. Greetings, BSers. I wanted to share this with everyone because this game was actually inspired by some jokers. when Brett mentioned how gamers used to actually handwrite their turns and mail them out to other players. It got me thinking about a game where two generals send letters home to loved ones revealing their side's victories, defeats, and setbacks. Those letters are then sent to the other player with the dice rolls encoded in the body of the letter, and the war progresses until one side has accumulated enough victories and accepts a letter of surrender from their enemy. Along the way, each general answers questions about the deeper truths behind the war and expose just how shitty it can be for both sides.
Nice.
So we got a link in the show notes. I think it's like a whole $2 or something on drive-through. If you're interested in doing that, Brett, I think you and I should do an actual play.
Of this?
Yeah, I don't know how we would do it. We could do it. I mean, I think...
Well, I haven't bought it yet. That's the first thing I got to do is I got to go get a copy of this.
Right. So I think one of the things that he says, and I don't not in there, but he mentioned somewhere that you can do it digitally, but he does encourage you to do the handwritten form.
There was a Lovecraftian version similar called De Profundis ages back. I think there was a second edition of it too, which is on drive-through now. That is designed to be letters back and forth in a Cthulhu mythos. But this approach is interesting from a war perspective, because what I was talking about was the play-by-mail wargaming that used to be done. And to take this and cinch it down to this type of format, I like this. This is good stuff, Todd. I gotta buy me a copy. That's what I gotta do.
My last one before we turn it over to listeners, and this is kind of just a collaborative between Brett and I, is to congratulate all the Any Award nominees for 2018. And there are quite a few BSers, friends of the show, that are included in this. Probably the most ever that we actually kind of... I mean, some of the folks we haven't met face-to-face, but they've contributed to our show. They've given us topics to talk about. They've written in on Random Encounters. Man, these guys are professionals. They're the ones, like, putting product and getting paid.
Yeah, they're doing good stuff, man.
So we want to acknowledge some of them for sure. So what do you want to alternate?
Yeah, you go first.
All right. So the first one is our personal friend Jason Hobbs from Hobbs and Friends, the OSR.
Love Hobbs.
Hobbs is nominated for Best Podcast. If you haven't listened to Hobbs, he's over on the Misdirected Mark network of podcasts. We'll plug the network as well. And so we'll have a link in the show notes to the website so that you can also get more of Jason Hobbs and his friends of the OSR.
Well, Sean's been on it. I've been on it. It's a damn good show.
Yes.
Hobbs does a good job.
Yes.
And he's a cool dude, too. He's fun.
Yep. And Jason Cordova, we haven't brought up on the show before, but he's part of the Gauntlet, and Fear of the Black Dragon is also an OSR show. Have you listened to Fear of the Black Dragon?
I have not.
They go through, they take kind of a basic expert, right? Basic expert companion?
Basic expert companions, masters, immortals.
But I think they only go through basic and expert, if I'm not mistaken. They go through some old school modules, and they review them, and they go, here's the basics. And they have a certain format that they tackle, and then they go, here's the expert, and then they go through. And they're not all TSR-based modules, but, another OSR podcast. So, there's other ones that are nominated, but those are the ones we chose and called out. So, continuing on, Brett.
Yes. Christopher Gray, his product, The Happiest Apocalypse on Earth. We got the affiliate link out here. For best cover and best interior art by Robert Herbert. Product is all... Hebert. Sorry. Hebert. Good God.
Unless I missed the R in the first syllable, I don't think so. But I think it's
product is also up for Product of the Year as well. So, Mr. Gray, good work, sir. Very well done.
Yeah, that guy's like crushing it this year. Third, Gnome Stew. Those guys, they're always up there. There's such an awesome crew of bloggers.
Yeah, they do good stuff.
If you want like our podcast turned up to like 20 in written form, then it's Gnome Stew.
Yep.
So the Gnomes. And they have a podcast.
Yes, they do.
They do.
And
Angela hosts.
Yes, she does.
Uh-huh.
And we've got Monkey Blood Design and Publishing, Glenn Seal, for best cartography for the Midlands and OSR setting in bestiary, which is really cool. And I'm expecting, hopefully, very, very soon, Sean, our Midlands goodies will be on the boat to us.
Yes.
From the last Kickstarter, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And what else we got? Oh, over to you.
Todd Crapper and his company, Broken Ruler Games, for High Plains Samurai Legends for best free game. Free, people.
Nice.
FREE, best free game. So there you can even actually go and get it, and you don't have to pay for it, and you can see how awesome it is on your own.
Yep. And last but not least is Eloy Lasanta with his Pip System core book, affiliate link there, and from Third Eye Games for Judges Spotlight winner, per Kurt Weigel. So Eloy, I'll be meeting him, and he's going to be at QCC, so I will see him in person there. So that'll be pretty cool.
So congratulations, everybody. We hope a lot of the folks that we just mentioned are going to be winners in August at Gen Con. We shall find out. It is an award where you will be able to go and vote for these folks if you're interested, or others that interest you. The Ennies, despite some people have their own opinions about the Ennies, but you can go down the list and find out about what's going on. That's what I like about them, is not only the folks that I know that are up for the awards, but other folks that have product that I can go, hey, I never heard of that podcast, or hey, I never heard of that product. Maybe I'll have to check that out.
Yep. Very good stuff.
Lastly, there's one more. You want me to do it?
Oh, the Joe Swick one?
Yeah.
Oh, Joe Swick posted up the Austin Hedeke's D&D Tools program. We've got a little, got some information here in the show notes. It's completely interactive. It's a character generator, NPC generator, 35 NPC classes, save, exported generated characters, dice rollers, encounter calculators, loot calculators. This is a damn good looking thing. Got a tarot card game in there, wild magic effects, good stuff. So, very cool. If you'd like to support that project, a simple star on GitHub will suffice, or look into some of the homebrew stuff that he's doing. We've got a little link there, too, as well. So this is really cool. Good stuff. Thank you, Joe, for calling that one out.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Brian Kurtz, thanks for the review. We appreciate it. You happen to leave that on iTunes. I think you can leave a review on Google, Android, too. Now, Android listeners, I don't know how many we have. There's quite a difference in Android and iTunes, but now that Android has their own, it's kind of built into search. You want to find us and you're an Android user, just search for the podcast and it should come up, and then you can actually, I think, even get an icon on your mobile device where you just click on the icon and it'll tell you when a new episode releases. So something to be aware of. But thanks so much for doing that, Brian. Very kind words. And it was a good review, I should stipulate. He didn't leave us a 1 star.
Oh, it's very nice.
Yeah. So there we go. Brett, next week, what?
Not sure. Don't know. We'll come up with something.
Okay. We'll start the wheels turning now.
Exactly.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. And I will wrap this up and say thanks for tuning in. This has been an episode of Gaming BS. I'm Sean.
And I'm Brett. Good night and good game and all.
All right, this episode of Gaming BS brought to you with the help from the following patrons: Andy Hall, Corey Wynn, Graham Minert, Joe Swick, Brett's biggest fan, Forrest Gugary, Mark Anthony Benedetti, Eric Jeppesen, Sean Nicholson, Tim Jensen, Remy Bellodo, Jason Hobbs, Wayne Humfleet, James Carpio, Pure Mongrel, Lord Tentacle, Corey Johnston, Brandon Barnes, Dan LaValle, CW Mellencamp, The Lost Sailor, Misdirected Mark Productions, Christopher Gray, Finolf, Mirko Froelich, Eileen Barnes, Tony Sugarloaf Baker, Todd Crapper, Wistatic, Alexander Auerbach, Neil Benson, Chris Steele, Eric Hoffman, Kyle Winter, Christopher Lang, Curtis Takahashi, Mark Tasaka, Larry Hout, Ray Otis, Ron Bishop, Craig Huber, Xavier G, JV, John Hammersley, The Closet Gamer, John Steve, Jared Rasher, Mark Richmond, Thomas Hook, Blake Ryan, Chad Gleeman, Sky, Roger Braslett, Evan Harrison Cass, Craig, Howard Bishop, Jim Fitzpatrick, Peter Skanes, Josh Wallace, Corey Welch, Eli Kurtz, Patiri Turtuyanen, Edwin Nagy, Bruce Cunnington, Aaron Coleman, Tim Shorts, Stefan Dragonspawn, Owen Agus, Rolford Guild, Gordon Cranford, Eric Salzwedel, Joris Sedgwick, Kevin Lovecraft, Matt Cyberlick, Jack Neller, Robert Nemeth, Eric Bonds, Palladian, Ron Blessing, Brian Kurtz, and the Knights of the Night Crew. For ways to support the show, head over to gamingbs.com/support-us. Thanks, BSers!
This has been a Litterbox Studio production.